Welcome to the Fire Takes podcast. My name is Tim. I am here with Gwen, my wonderful podcast partner.
And partner in life.
And partner in life. We're getting it. How are you doing, Gwen? Did you enjoy the holiday weekend?
I have been enjoying the holiday weekend. I'm doing well. We've had 2 whole days off so far, working on our 3rd, and it's been really nice to get some things done around the house, hang out with each other, and just generally not think about work for a couple of days.
Yeah, that's been great. Yeah, we're recording a little earlier than we normally would. We usually kind of hook slide in at the last second on all these episodes, and I'm scrambling to edit. But after last week's throwing up of our hands, we decided maybe we'll try to get out ahead of this thing.
So, do you have any good news to share with our audience?
No, but you do.
I do. Oh, what a setup question that was for you. Yeah, I'm very excited. I got a promotion at work that I've been working towards the last, let's say, about 9 months or so. So that was really nice to be recognized and have all of my efforts rewarded for all of that. So I get about a 10% pay increase and 4 days of extra vacation.
Yeah.
And a lot of extra responsibilities.
There you go.
And a new title.
Extra responsibilities for 361 days a year, but 4 days, though, nah.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder, does my responsibility level average out now that I will be off for 4 more days, but I have more to do while I'm there?
I don't know. I mean, they are paying you the 10% more, so
that's true.
At least as far as your employer is concerned, your responsibilities must have gone up, right?
Yeah. As far as my employer is concerned, I owe the promotion party kitty some money this year. Everybody who gets promoted throughout the year when we have our annual training throws some money into the pot, and then we all go out and have a good time at a local establishment.
There you go.
Of an adult variety beverage.
I was going to say, don't just say adult variety.
Not that kind of adult variety.
You're just across the river from some of a very adult variety.
Yeah, no, we're not going to East St. Louis for the adult variety of fun. We're going downtown St. Louis at a bar to drink and have fun.
That is better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whew, okay.
How about our first story? What do you say?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Our first story is actually just something I came across on Threads that would spark a good conversation between Tim and I, so we thought that we would clue you in on this story, and we haven't actually had this discussion for real yet, so this will be a good hot take.
Yeah, I held back my take.
He did. He knows where I'm coming from. He doesn't. I don't know where he's coming from. So it says, last week my partner offered to make dinner for me while I managed an intense event load-in. Today I noticed fork scratches all over my all-clad pans. Sad emoji face, sad emoji face. My immediate response was to scream, but then I remembered he was trying to do something nice for me. I can replace the pans.
So, not great. So, one of the things we want to check for, right, when we have a situation like this is was this weaponized incompetence? And that's not the vibe I'm getting, right? It feels like he did a dumb thing, right? He made a mistake. He made a mistake while doing a very thoughtful thing.
Yes.
So I think he tried. So
he's just a man trying his best out there, right?
Yeah. Now, I will commend OP for, OP, the threader. I don't know, the seamstress. What do we call these people?
Just OP is fine, I think.
OP is fine? Okay. Well, I will commend OP for feeling her feelings, like taking stock of those, right? Taking inventory, and then choosing the ones to express or like how to conduct herself going forward to try to maximize the impact, the positive impact in the relationship, right?
Yeah, like
screaming at each other very rarely has a positive impact in a relationship.
Yeah, and we can just say, yeah, OP should probably not be screaming at anything. And like, there have been some times where I have been like upset but I'm never going to scream.
Yeah. Now,
Like that is probably something that OP should continue to work on, is her first instinct, is
yeah.
is the learned experience, and then your second thought
Interesting.
is, because it was out there, it's like, oh, your first thought is your learned experience, and your second thought is your inner voice.
Right. Well, yeah, because so I didn't take that maybe as literally, right? So she says, my first response is to scream. And now, does that mean my first thought or my first response was to well with anger? And the way I convey that in words is to say scream? Or do you think, like your take, that it is her first response is her learned experience? She was screamed at in the past, or that's what she saw her parents do, is scream at each other when anger was there.
Yeah.
But then she took that and was like, well, maybe this isn't the best way to handle anger, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, is that she's learning, okay, how do I redirect my feelings and experiences and emotions? And
I think whenever we start to look at more of OP's responses to some of these comments, we see a very level-headed person, right? That kind of develops that the personality of a level-headed person develops. This first, the top comment is, why do people always minimize the damage men do, as, quote unquote, he was trying, and justify their blatant incompetence? Absolutely be pissed. Tell that a-hole to replace your pans and learn how to properly use them. And her response to that is, woof, a-hole, I'd hate to be under your roof, right? That's a very angry, that's like, in words, the screaming response. Hey,
yeah,
I'm angry. I'm going to yell at you and demand you replace the pans, right?
yeah.
And call you an a-hole, right? and she's like, maybe that's not the environment I want to create.
Yeah. And then other people are like, he can replace the pans. He needs to learn how to cook without breaking pans. And she's like, no, like he knows how to cook, but he just like messed up, and this one little flaw doesn't completely outweigh all of his other really good qualities. Like, she's in there in the trenches defending her man. Right.
And we are quick to be like, no, you got to throw out the whole man, right? But apparently not as quick as the Threads community.
I mean, in fairness, it's not a horrible take most of the time.
Yeah.
So, it would be like one thing if like he kept doing this to her nice pans, like if this is the 5th time she has to do her pans because of horrible fork scratches, then like he can buy pans, or he can, she was like, I just talked to him and said, hey, these are the utensils to use in these pans next time. I would appreciate it. Thanks. Which is very level-headed, and probably something that I would work on, because I tend to like nice things, and then I tend to get upset when my nice things get broken or unable to be used.
Yeah.
Precisely because it's like, I took a reach. I want to have nice things. I want to be on that next level, and I keep getting knocked back down to the level that I don't want to be at, because my nice things get destroyed. And mostly, in all fairness, my nice things get destroyed by the other nice thing that I have, which is my cat. So we always joke that I'm only allowed to have one nice thing, and that's the cat.
That's true.
It's not really a joke, but
yeah, it's less and less funny over time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people coming out and saying, hey, it's this man's responsibility to replace the pans. And that's not a horrible take. But I do agree with OP's response here to someone saying, hey, he's going to replace the pans. And she says the cost, quote unquote cost, will never be the driving factor behind him course correcting. Him respecting the knowledge that I share will be his reasoning. Like, that's such a solid, powerful way to be like, okay, I'm going to buy these pans, right? Like, I had expensive pans that are delicate. It's, once again, I have nice things. Sometimes nice things are fragile, and it's just kind of a cost of having nice things. I get it. But I know that my partner will respect it whenever I share this information of like how to cook with these pans, because maybe, stirring with a fork has worked in all of the pans in his life leading up to this moment. He just didn't realize that these pans are a little sensitive, and having this discussion, and that's the respect that he shows whenever this reasoning is shared, like she says, is super powerful. And she even says, I'd hate to be with someone who have to emphasize cost at every turn like a teenager. No thanks, right? You don't want to, not every argument needs a dollar value attached to it.
Yeah, and there were some other responses from OP too where, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, there were some other responses where they were like, I learned not to use a fork when I cooked in pans when I was like 8 years old. Like, why didn't his mama teach him? And she's like, girl, that's a whole other thread.
Right.
So, there's some learning that she's having to give to her partner.
Right.
That was not taught at a more appropriate age. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And that's just a fallout of like patriarchal thinking, right? Like he wasn't taught as a child, like some of these lessons. And now OP, he's found a partner that seems like she has maybe the patience to help, or she sees the benefits of what he brings to the table and is able to be patient with the things that are currently lacking. Right.
Yeah, I don't have that patience. So mad props to OP for having that level of patience, because I went with a already learned everything model for my partner.
Well, I mean,
not everything.
You dealt with a lot of patience in past relationships.
That's true. Yeah, I expended all that.
Yeah, you spent up all the patience.
This girl's tired.
All right. Our second story, we're back to Reddit, is from the subreddit Am I the Asshole? It is, am I the asshole? Wife turned down a job with a dream schedule and higher salary. Background information. I, 30 male, am a teacher, currently in graduate school to pursue being a principal. My wife, 29 female, a physical therapist. We have 2 kids, aged 3.5 and 2, both adopted. Wife currently works at a nonprofit as a PT. Last August, she turned down a PT job at a local school district that would have paid her 30% more than she currently brings home. Currently bringing home about $65,000, could have made $85,000. Her current job gives 2 weeks vacation and covers part of her insurance premium. They do not offer any retirement matching. She currently works 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. On Fridays, she works as a pediatric physical therapist as a 1099 employee and claims to enjoy it. The school job would have covered her entire health insurance premium monthly and also offered a pension plan. The school job schedule would have been 8:30 to 3, Monday through Thursday, with holiday breaks and summers off just like the teacher schedule. She would have had all the same breaks that I do as a teacher. I currently work at the same district that the job was at. Before everyone attacks me, I'm very familiar with how this job is. Her best friend wound up taking the position after she declined. I see her friend at my building, sometimes rolling in close to 9 a.m. to start the day. I do realize that most of the patients she would see are on an IEP, but considering she sees patients now that are also difficult, I'm just super puzzled on the decision. One last thing. I have also gotten a weird feeling about her infatuation with her boss at her current job. He's married and has kids, seems like a nice guy. I've never thought he seemed flirty towards her when I've been around, but she does seem to hold him in such high esteem, almost in a strange way. He's about 10 to 12 years older than both of us. Long story short, she turned down that job because she claimed she wouldn't enjoy that type of environment for doing PT work. Here's the part I really struggle with. My wife is constantly stressed about working and juggling 2 kids. We are getting close to being financially able for her to work part-time. However, she is constantly negative and very critical of me and others. We have to walk on eggshells around her. Anytime we have an argument about chores or other household duties, she immediately attacks me with, "You have more time off, so you should do them all." I agree. I do have more time off. I enjoy my schedule that allows me to be with my family more. I was previously in sales, working weekends, sometimes until 10 p.m., often before having kids. I probably do about 95% of the dishes and cleaning and 70% of the laundry. I also do our finances, grocery store runs. I pick up the kids from daycare and drop them off frequently. Anytime we get into an argument, I really have to bite my tongue about her complaining about not having any free time when she turned down that job. In my mind, she forfeited the right to complain about not having any free time. Am I the asshole?
Okay, first off, not the asshole. There's a lot of factors, I think, in this. I think maybe OP's wife enjoys the struggle. She's not stressed about this. What else is she going to be stressed about, right?
That's interesting.
And maybe she doesn't know how to not be stressed out, and that's just her default mode, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got the whole boss thing.
Yeah, the boss thing is weird. It could be a thing, right? Like, she's infatuated with her boss, thinks that the guy walks on water, and in any situation, the people at your job can cause you to want to, like, stick through it, right? Like, stick it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
100%.
People don't leave jobs. People leave bosses, right?
Right. Usually. Yeah. So it could be something nefarious, but it could even just be like, hey, I really enjoy working for this guy, right? And sure, the schedule sucks and I've got to do this thing, but I feel for OP in the, does he now have the right to, or did she forfeit the right to complain about her schedule by not taking that job that just makes her life, it seems like from the outside it looks like an easy button job, right? She could have just pressed the easy button and then her life would have been simpler.
Yeah.
But as someone who's worked at the same place for 21 years, I will say it is tough to maybe make a job change, especially if the people you're surrounded with are good, the work, you're enjoying it. It could be hard to make that change.
Yeah. But then she doesn't get the right to be constantly negative and critical.
Yeah. Right. Nobody has that right. Right.
And just because OP has more time doesn't mean that he should do them all.
Right.
Right? Like, that's crappy to do to your partner.
Yeah.
You have more time off, so because you're not at work, you are wholly responsible for the house. Like that, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
It should be split equitably with both partners in agreement on what equitable means. It doesn't mean 50-50, because she's right. He does have more time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he can take on some of the more time-intensive chores like laundry or, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, she lives there too. She's also responsible for making sure that their house is clean and livable.
Right. But we go back to OP from last story, right? The kindness and the grace she was giving her partner, it sounds like there's not a lot of that happening in this household, right?
No. None.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to get to a point where OP is just going to have to throw that back in her face about her turning down that better job. And it's not going to be great.
It is going to blow up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's frustrating when there's so much of the problems that she's complaining about could have been solved by something she chose not to do.
Yeah.
Like that's just going to be in the back of your mind all the time, just listening to the complaints. It's like, oh, wouldn't it have been nice if you didn't have to complain about that because of a choice you could have made? If it isn't the consequence of my own actions.
No. Yeah, and I mean, OP is not the asshole. His wife's kind of the asshole, but he would probably be the asshole if he threw that in her face.
Right. Yeah, and it's going to happen, right? Like at some point, he's going to be the asshole. It feels like it's just a matter of time. And that puts OP in a rough situation.
Although, I mean, the top comment, people do not agree with our take.
Let's hear it.
Reddit Creeper 2801 said, edited to say, "You're the asshole. She claimed she wouldn't enjoy that type of work for PT work. You have your answer. Why are you not accepting it? She doesn't want to work in that environment. I'm not understanding the problem. It's kind of her decision. I think you have other issues you need to be focusing on in your marriage."
Yeah.
Someone said, "Yeah, it's not her dream job. It's the job you want her to have."
Yeah, and we did the editorial here for OP because in his post he asked that the title should read "Job with a Dream Schedule," and I made that correction for him. But his original post title was "His wife turned down a dream job with a better schedule," and it is not her dream job at all. I think it's more than an oops-a-daisy on OP's part. I think it was more of a Freudian slip, right?
Yeah.
That this is not a dream job. He assumed it was a dream job.
Yeah, I would say there's another comment in here that said, the comment saying it's her career, blah, blah, blah. It's not her career anymore. It's her family career. When you have kids, it's not really about what you want anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you do have to have...
I mean, how many people want to go and work in dangerous factories or dangerous environments, but they do it because it's a good way to support their family.
Yeah.
Shouldn't OP's wife want to do that for her family?
Right. And I think that all rolls into the environment you're having your relationship in, you're raising your kids in, where there is conflict and consternation and complaints over difficult schedules and uneven workloads. Yeah, I don't know. This is all around a bad situation. It's a volatile situation that could get explosive.
Yep. Somebody did say, I also noticed when OP was talking about the kids, he talks about her juggling them with no mention of his childcare duties aside from picking them up and dropping them off frequently. With these Am I the Asshole posts, you kind of have to read between the lines and figure out what information the person is leaving out to figure out the actual issues. And to me, that's a glaring omission.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Yep. It's a good catch.
Yep.
Good catch.
Yeah, maybe OP's wife is, the one organizing all the doctor's appointments and making sure that the clothes are updated for each new season and organizing the birthday parties and doing bedtime routines and feeding them and. Good point. So it says, the sub is full of hypocrites. You're totally right. And if the genders were reversed, the sub would be up in flames. She has 2 young kids, not pulling her weight at home, and she's using it as an excuse. So, yeah, it's true. This sub totally is full of hypocrites. So, who's to say who's right and who's wrong? There's 2 sides to every story, and somebody desperately needs to have their high horse.
We're not right and wrong. We give takes.
That's true.
These are our takes.
That's true. These are our takes.
We're not financial planners. We're just opinionated.
It's true. We just got, we have big mouths.
All right. The next story is another Am I the Asshole from RAITAH. Am I the asshole for keeping $800 in tips after rejecting my customers' romantic advances? I, 24 female, of course she is, work at a coffee shop, and there's a regular customer who tips me very well. Like he pays only $5 and tips me $20. He's probably in his 40s. Based on his ring and the pictures I've seen of his family, he is married with kids. He's super friendly, always talking to me about books and movies. Anyway, yesterday, my coworker told me that he asked what my schedule was and had said that he was interested in me romantically. I was honestly shocked. I thought we were just being friendly. But now that I think about it, it is weird that he has tipped me that much. I have been keeping all his tips in a separate jar because they have been so excessive. I have like $800 now. I was thinking about maybe giving it back when he eventually said he wanted to be friends, or saving it, but now I could really use the money for my student loans. Today, he came in and asked me if I wanted to grab dinner sometime. I politely declined and said I don't date customers.
Good for her.
I think he must have felt embarrassed, but he just kept going on and on about how he has been, quote unquote, investing in our friendship. The word investing made me super uncomfortable. I decided then that I'm going to keep all the money because they are technically tips for my service, right?
Good girl.
But now I wonder if I was leading him on at all by accepting his amount of tips. Am I the asshole for keeping the money?
Girl, no. No, you were not the asshole. That man, I use that term loosely. Oh, that married man who was 16 years older than you had no business being interested in OP at all. At all. None. And I hate that he's like, if I just put money in the money, I just give her money in the pretty girl, then I get sex out of it. Oh, that's how this works. No, that's not how this works. You blew $800 on nothing.
He blew $800 of his wife's money on nothing.
Yes.
Okay. I may have known this might have triggered you. So.
Oh, I'm so triggered right now. I do agree with the top comment that says, not the asshole. It's generally advisable to determine that someone is a sex worker prior to giving them large quantities of money in exchange for romance and or sex. And the fact that you work in a coffee shop should have been a fairly big hint that you're not one.
It's interesting that she kept this separate, like the $800 in a jar, right? Because she was waiting on him to say, like, he wanted to be her friend, and then she would feel bad that she took $800. Like, do you feel like you were this naive at 24?
No. No, I mean 22 maybe, but
okay.
24. I mean, there's a reason these guys go after younger women,
Right.
right? Is because they're not as experienced in the world, and they don't know, and we women in the U.S. have been just had it pounded into us that we have to be nice.
Right.
We cannot be not nice. We can't be mean. We can't be upset. We can't be angry. We have to be nice.
Yeah, that is interesting. I heard a story. It was a woman telling a story about when she was only 15 years old and she was in New York City with her mother. And a man came up to her, the 15-year-old girl, and was asking for directions. And her mother immediately shooed her away and explained to her, like, there is nothing a grown man needs from a 15-year-old girl.
Yes.
Right? And obviously this guy needs coffee from this woman, but like this 40-year-old man doesn't need a book report from a 24-year-old girl.
Nope.
Right? Like, yeah, that is not what this was ever about, and it's sweet that she believed it was, but it was naive.
Yes. And yeah, it was that one with the 15-year-old is men do not seek help from teenage girls or young women.
Right.
Men will seek help from other men.
Right.
The reason that they approach you is to put you at ease so they can be creepy and weird
Right.
and problematic.
Yep. Yeah. No, I would never dream if I was lost in a city of let me go find the nearest 15-year-old girl to see if I can get some directions.
Yeah, it's weird. So somebody said, if he presses the issue again, I would straight up tell him, I'm a barista, not a prostitute. You generously tipped me for coffee. That was your choice. What about saying, I don't date married men?
Oof. Investing? ? Tell him to be investing in his wife and kids. Oof. Yikes.
Years ago, at a bar with my sister, a couple of guys had drinks sent to us. The bartender brought us the drinks and said, those guys bought you a drink, pointing to them. They waved, we smiled, shrugged, took the drinks, and drank them. A few minutes later, the guys approached us, asking us to dance. My sister said, no thanks, we are both married and just here to enjoy the music. The one guy said, but we bought you drinks. My sister said, but we didn't ask you to. That was your choice. You buying us a drink does not mean that we owe you anything. Not a dance, not a chat, nothing. Thanks for the drink that we didn't ask for in the first place. Now if it'll excuse us. And we walked away.
See, that is a grown-ass woman who is not naive.
Yes.
And that's why men would rather buy drinks for 24-year-old women than grown-ass women.
Yup. Yep. The field of F's to give when you get older is sparse.
Lace barren, the field where you grow your fucks.
Yes. All right, our next story comes from the subreddit r fire, and the title is "Hit the $1 million net worth mark as a household. Potential $1 million inheritance in the next 5 to 20 years. Are we saving too much?" As the post says, we just hit the 1 million mark as a household, not including equity, earlier this year. Now we're at about 1.1 million plus $150,000 equity. Our combined income is fairly high. Husband makes $122,000 a year. I make $160,000 plus a bonus. And we're in a high cost of living area, but not a very high cost of living area. Thing is, if we coast, we'll still be at $3.5 million at 57, assuming 6% growth over 20 years. I also have an aunt who has made her nieces/nephews her beneficiaries. She is in relatively poor health, and although I hate to expect anything, she is insisting that everyone will get just shy of $1 million when she passes. I don't want to count on this, and frankly wish she would spend more on herself while she's here to enjoy it. I hate counting on my aunt's inheritance, but if you include $900,000 in our net worth today, we'd be at $6.4 million at 57, same 6% growth for 20 years. That's a lot of money. My dream would be to move back to my home state with my family, including my aunt in poor health, but there aren't many jobs there in my field. I may be able to swing going remote. My husband wants to stop working as soon as possible, but I generally like my job, just not the extreme stress/hours. On top of this, we're trying to start a family now, so expenses might go up soon. Even so, we're comfortable financially. I guess my question is, are we saving too much? Is it time to let off the gas a bit or live a little more? Part of me wants my husband to just retire once we have a kid, but I imagine we should stay off any huge changes until we settle into our new family dynamic, which includes moving. But if I wait until my aunt passes and inheritance is in hand to move back, then I don't get to spend time with her in her final years. A bit of chicken and egg. I would love to pull the trigger on a few things, but work seems to take all my husband's energy and both of our time. And if we don't get anything from my aunt, which again, I'd prefer she spend it on herself, then we're right on course. Additional numbers. I guess my fire numbers are still a bit wishy-washy, which makes this decision more difficult. But I'm going to say $4 million as a household for fire, with $3 million lean fire and $5 million fat fire. I imagine we'll have a staged retirement age, with my husband wanting to retire between 45 and 50, but would do something productive just low paying after, and me wanting to retire at 55, potentially coasting around 50. What do you think?
So I think there's some interesting things. Now, the inheritance...
Hold on a sec. What do you think as somebody who is not a financial advisor and just a person with opinions and big mouth about personal finances?
Well, first of all, inheritances are not a great thing to hang your hat on.
Yeah.
And I think OP has a healthy mind about it, hoping that the aunt spends it on herself. Now, if you go down into the comments, you'll learn that the aunt is right now only 69 years old. And it says that she's in poor health, but a 69-year-old in poor health, that also sounds like someone who could tear through all of their money on health issues because, you know, if you were 89 in poor health, then you're probably going to die in a couple of years. 69 in poor health, that might just mean you have a very expensive 70s, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at that retirement home that we went to last week for our early retirement Choose 5 meetup. One of the people in our area is an investor or executive in that business, and they generously let us use their chapel for our meeting when we didn't have anywhere else to go. So yes, we were very aware of the irony of a bunch of young people pushing for early retirement, going to a senior living facility to have our meeting. But that place was super nice.
It's super nice.
And I bet you that it would cost at least $12,000 a month to live there.
Yeah, at least.
Bare minimum. That adds up quick.
There's the assisted living, but if you're, if you're, like, say, quote unquote, poor health, you might have a lot of just healthcare costs, right? Doctors, medicines, procedures, etc. that are banging on your net worth as well.
Yeah, and even if somebody has money and says that it's coming to you, somebody else could step in
Right.
and make that not a thing, like my aunt did with my grandma and my dad.
Sure.
My grandma died multi-millions in the bank and gave a third of it to my aunt and gave 2/3 of it in a trust for my dad's care since he had MS and lived in an assisted living facility. And all that money was gone before he died. And there's nothing left for us.
Mm-hmm.
So just because somebody says that money is coming to you doesn't mean that money will end up in your bank account.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, stepping away from the inheritance, which I think OP is holding at arm's length as far as her plan. Now, they're doing well, right? They're saving money. They've got money. They have interest in retiring in their 50s. So they're not trying to retire at 35 or anything too crazy. They've got millions, plural, they're currently at 1 million, but they're, I think, doing the math, they were like 37, late 30s maybe. So they're doing all right. Right? They're going to...
Yeah, they'll be just fine.
They'll be fine, right? But to OP's consternation about I want to live back home and I want to spend time with my aunt and see my aunt before before it's too late on some of that kind of stuff. I would encourage maybe some loosening of the purse strings to enable some more travel back home. Maybe even some travel, take the aunt somewhere the aunt wants to go and have that kind of experience. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that would be wonderful. Or even if they would be like, hey, aunt, we want to spend more time with you and with our family back home in, whereverville, USA. Why don't you move back there and maybe front some of the costs for us to move with you and count that against our inheritance?
Right. Yeah.
Because that inheritance is probably more useful for them now than when aunt passes away.
Yep. No, that's a good point, right? Do they really want that $900K that even OP's math here, it changes their 57 net worth from 3.5 million to maybe 6.4 if the aunt just puts it in a investment account. But instead, if the aunt spends that money on benefiting the relationship she had with her niece, who's obviously somewhat meaningful to her, that's a good idea. Is let's front load that inheritance, quote unquote, into some experiences while the aunt's alive. And yeah, if the aunt, because I could definitely see the aunt being someone who's maybe they're thinking of their inheritance as their legacy and they don't want to spend money on themselves. But if you insert yourself and say, hey, your legacy can be this time we're spending together, and let's use the money for that instead of some check after you're dead, right?
Yeah, and that's particularly, I was going to have a section on this in the book that I was thinking about writing last year. And it was going to be on the people who die and they live like paupers through their whole life. They're very frugal. Mm-hmm. They have one chair, one mattress on the floor, and, one pot, and that's all they use, right? And then they die, and everyone's like, we didn't know that he had $3.9 million, and he left it all towards these unhoused children who fell victim to something terrible. And it's like, oh, this guy's so virtuous. And it's like, no, use that money for your life now, for enjoyment now. Like, don't wait to get your kudos and your reward and feel goods after you die, because you're dead. You're not going to get it.
Or if you have a cause that is so meaningful to you, use the money while you're alive so you can see the benefits and the effects of your money on that cause, and maybe you can have some impact.
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful if when we died, we had extra money to go to your daughter or my niece and nephew, somebody that could maybe get some good use out of it. But like, I also find a lot of value in throwing $20 at somebody on Threads who doesn't have a new job lined up quite at the time they thought, and while they have their bills paid, they don't have any extra money to spend, so they're just going to sit at home and do nothing for a week. Like, no, this person's been doing a lot of good work, and I think they've been really instrumental in my enjoyment of Threads, so I threw them $20. And I got an update on what they did with the money that people on Threads donated to them, and it made me feel really good, and it made me feel really happy that, like, sure, I don't have that $20, but like, I was probably just going to blow it on something stupid anyway. So why not use it to bring enjoyment in somebody else's life?
Yeah, we probably would have spent it on hookers and blow and wasted the rest. So.
Who's the, there's some comedian out there who's like, some guy was like, don't give money to that homeless guy. He's just going to use it for drugs and alcohol. And it's like, What do you think I'm going to use it for?
Yeah.
I'm going to use it for drugs and alcohol.
I don't know. I don't know the comedian, but I do know the bit. Yes.
So, yes, plan wisely for your future. Don't depend on an inheritance, but also try and use your resources to their utmost to enjoy your life, because there's enough in our lives that suck right now, and we need every little bit of joy that we can get right now.
Yep. Yeah. No, I encourage OP to find the ways that she can spend time and have this valuable time with her aunt and her family without giving up her job, which she really enjoys, right? Like, that was the problem, right? You don't want to set yourself on fire to keep your family warm, but you want to be able to still have those experiences. Find the middle ground where you can use some of your resources to make the things you want happen, right? That's why we work, or why we fi, or why we work and fi.
The why of fi.
The why of fi. All right. Well, thanks for sticking with us for this episode. We've had a lot of fun recording today. We will see you again in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the Fire Takes podcast. Wanted to remind you that this is an entertainment podcast. Gwen and I, not financial planners, just opinionated. There are many ways to reach us if you just go to firetakespod.com, including email, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube. You can hear more from Gwen at fierymillennials.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye.